Welcome back to Garage 512. You probably looked at that title screen and thought, like, what the heck is he even talking about, right? I mean, they look nothing alike. There should be absolutely no comparison between an almost 20-year-old Corvette C6 Z06 and the new badass C8 Z06, right? I mean, let's break it down. They look nothing alike. I mean, one is front engine, the other is mid-engine. One has 505 brake horsepower, the other has an amazing 670. One has old-ass tech, and the new one has the latest tech on the planet. Well, listen up. This might give you something to think about. So I did a thing. If you remember from my launch video, I was waiting for the interior to be redesigned on the new C8 Z06 before I would buy one because I just don't love that roll of buttons. I just don't. Well, they fixed that, right? They redesigned the interior in the 2026 model year. However, something strange happened, and I didn't expect it. My dream car popped up on the market, and I freaking pounced. Let me tell you about it. The car is the C6 Z06, but not just any C6 Z06, a Le Mans blue C6 Z06. So I called up and, well, emailed, right? I talked to the GM specialist over in the archive department, and she told me that in 2006, 671 of the 6272 C6 Z06s were made in that color, Le Mans blue, 10.7%. In 07, they went up a little bit. They made 827 of 8159. That's 10.1%. Let me tell you what makes that color special and why it matters. Chevy made the Le Mans blue color to commemorate the Le Mans victories of the C5R race car in 2001, 2002, and 2004. It was used in the very last year of the C5, 2004, and then the first 3 years of the C6 Z06, so 05, 06, 07. But the Z06 only got that color in 06 and 07. So, more about that. So the Corvette team went on to win 4 more Le Mans wins in that C6 platform. That's a total of 7 Le Mans championships in 11 years, or 5 and 6 years. I mean, that's back-to-back from championships in 01 and 02. And then again, 05, 06. I mean, point of fact, in 2005, the yellow cars took first and second place. That's a perfect 1-2 finish. True dominance, right? Unfortunately, things changed. Things seem to have fallen off some after the C6 platform, at least from a Le Mans Blue perspective, with just 1 Le Mans win with the C7R race car, and so far just 1 Le Mans win in the C8R. That was back in 2023. I'm not really sure what happened with those platforms, but I do know one thing. The Corvette got heavier after the C6 platform. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the new C8 Z06. I mean, Chevy finally went back to a naturally aspirated Z06. I mean, I was never in favor of putting a supercharger in the C7 Z06, but you know what? Didn't ask my opinion. My phone didn't ring, okay? But the Z06 has always been marketed as a track car, and they added a supercharger to a fairly hot motor. That means heat soak, and lo and behold, the C7 Z06 actually did suffer from overheating. But about the C8 platform, okay, let's face it, the mid-engine ain't going away anytime soon. They put a lot of money in that. The C9 will be a mid-engine, and I really don't think I'm going to miss out on anything because things are only going to get better with the C9. That's not true with the C6 Z06. I mean, let's face it, Chevy ain't making any more big 7-liter motors, let alone ones with a manual gearbox. And I really don't think they're going to be bringing back the round taillights anytime soon. So if you really like that classic look, that's the car you want. But the new C8 Z06 is amazing. I mean, they took what was truly special about the Ferrari 458 and made it bigger. The LT6 is a 5.5 flat plane crank compared to Ferrari's smaller 4.5-liter flat plane crank. I mean, big surprise. They went bigger. But, you know, to their credit, Chevy has been very forthright in admitting that they reverse engineered the Ferrari 458 to make the LT6. And honestly, I think it sounds better than the Ferrari, at least comparing stock to stock. Check it out. So the C8 Z06 is a special car. And it might be the closest I'll ever get to actually ever being able to have like a Ferrari-like experience. But I'm also totally in love with the now discontinued Le Mans blue color and the C6 platform as a whole. When my dream car popped up in Memphis, Tennessee, I put my buddy out there to check it out, drive it, and had it shipped to me here in Austin, and it's on the way. I'm freaking stoked, and I cannot be happier. So, you might be asking yourself, what makes the C6 Z06 so damn special? By Jazz. It's visceral. It's analog. It's truly old school. So if you're nostalgic like me and you miss shifting your own gears and having true control over your power band, that's the car you want, right? It's also lighter. How's it lighter, you say? It has an all-aluminum hydroformed space frame to save weight. You see, back then, Chevy was absolutely obsessed with weight reduction. It was 126 pounds lighter than the base steel frame C6. It had electronic door actuators, new for the time. We're all used to that stuff now. That saved weight with the linkages. A magnesium engine cradle and roof. The floorboard? Balsa wood, sandwiched between carbon fiber. The front fenders? Carbon fiber. Shaved glass for additional weight savings. And yes, lots of plastic, right? I mean, a lot of people complain about how cheap and whatnot the C6 interior feels compared to the new stuff. But you know what? The new C8 Z06 is 3,500 pounds and 3,600 if you want the convertible. That luxury comes at a cost, and it's called weight. The C6 had a near 50-50 weight distribution thanks to the rear-mounted transmission. The high-revving 7,000 RPM, 7-liter, 427 cubic inch all-aluminum motor produces 505 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque. It's mounted lower down and further back. And did I mention it's lighter? The 06 version was the lightest at 3,132 pounds. The 07 had added some sound deadening, and it took the weight up to about 3,170 pounds. That's the one I'm getting. But let's compare that almost 20-year-old car to its newer, younger, and higher-strung brethren. All right, let's take a look at the comparison between these two beasts. All right, the engines, because that is the heart of the beast, right? The C6 Z06 is a 7-liter LS7. It's fully naturally aspirated, just like the C8. They brought that back from the C7 Z06. Although the C8 Z06 does have a smaller motor. It is a 5.5-liter LT6. It's a flat, plain crank motor, very similar to Ferrari's 458. Basically the same motor, just bigger. So they did change the name from LS to LT. I didn't really like that myself. The LT reminds me of the old C4s. I don't get that, but it's what it is. Like I said, they didn't call me. So let's look at the horsepower. Considerable difference. For a 20-year-old car, almost 20 years old, that was 505 horsepower was the thing. It was the shit. It was beating a hell of a lot of cars. I remember those YouTube videos. It was demolishing everything. I mean, just Google what is it, Z06, C6 Z06 versus everything. it's really pretty embarrassing what it was doing to the competition. But you know, that's 505 horsepower. All of that power has been made at 6,300 RPM, unlike the C8 Z06, which needs some more ramp, right? It revs high, but it doesn't like to really make its power till about 5,000 RPM. So, but it does make considerably more at 160 RPM at 8,400. Now, that car revs to 8,600 RPM. The red line on the C6 Z06 is 7,000 RPM. Now, let's take a look at the torque numbers. Displacement does actually matter. They say no replacement for displacement. I'm a big believer in that. Look at the torque numbers. The C8 Z06 produces 10 foot-pounds of torque less than the C6 Z06 at 470. Notice where it makes its power, all right? The C6 Z06 makes all of its torque at only 4,800 RPM. That's the fun. For me, I mean, just being shoved so hard, the back of your seat is such a low RPM. Now, it has its place, you know, the high revving stuff. I mean, it sounds glorious, but you don't have to wait to 6,300 RPM before you even make that 460 foot-pounds of torque, okay? So just be patient on it. You're going to have fun. You have a smile on your face getting there, but I think you're going to have a bigger smile on your face with the larger displacement motor. Okay, let's look at the transmissions. The C6 Z06 had a Tremec transmission. Now, they did make a change from 07 to 08. The 07, like the one I'm getting, it's a 6-speed manual, but it's a T56. They switched to the TR6060 in '08, and the ZR1, the C6 ZR1, got the TR6060. Let's look at the C8 Z06. It is using an 8-speed dual clutch DCT transmission. Okay, so that's the paddle shifters. I mean, no human's ever going to shift faster than that thing. You're going to win a lot more races, I suspect, with the DCT, unless you're a really good driver. And even if you are, I still think the 6-speed manual, it's human error, right? It's just, you're probably not winning that race. But I think you'll have a bigger smile on your face, even lose it. Both are rear-wheel drive. Let's look at the performance numbers. The C6 Z06 does 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, compared to 2.6 seconds on the C8 Z06. The quarter mile time, the C6 Z06 is doing it in 11.7 seconds at 125 miles per hour. The C8 Z06 does the quarter in 10.6 seconds at 130 miles an hour. Top speed, C6 edges it out. Okay, top speed on the C6 Z06 is 198 miles per hour. I believe the ZR1, the C6 ZR1 did that in like 205 miles per hour. They've kind of gotten away from that. So if you notice, the C8 Z06 only tops out at 195 miles per hour. Realistically, none of us are doing that, right? I mean, even if you're at the track, I don't know any tracks that are long enough for you to get to 198 miles an hour. That said, let's look at the weight. This is what I was getting at earlier, and this really kind of bothers me, that the Corvette has gotten so heavy. They start getting heavy in the C7s, and then they seem to have lost their focus with their weight obsession. I mean, you're going to need much more horsepower. I mean, if you've seen the ZR1 and the ZR1X numbers, the Nürburgring, it's impressive, but, you know, a lot of us expected it to do better than what it did, and I think it's because of the weight. I mean, the Porsche GT3 RS with only 500 horsepower, I mean, it's still faster than the regular ZR1. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but look at this weight difference. The C6 Z06 only 3,132 pounds. Now, mind you, that was for the 06 version. Remember, they didn't have any sound deadening in 06. The 07, this slide is actually a little off. I know from experience that my car, the 07, because of the sound deadening, brought that weight up to 3,170 pounds. But look at this. Man, I'm not going to call it a porker, but I mean, damn. It's almost 3,600 pounds. It's 3,595 pounds for the C8 Z06. Power to weight ratio, okay, that's good. The C6 Z06, 6.2 pounds per horsepower compared to the 5.4 pounds per horsepower on the C8 Z06. Let's take a look at the braking and the chassis. Okay, so the C6 Z06 is front engine and rear-wheel drive compared to the C8 being mid-engine. First year for the mid-engine, but also rear-wheel drive. That's on the Z06. We know that the E-Ray is an all-wheel drive setup. The suspension, magnetic ride control was optional for the C6 Z06, but the magnetic ride control 4.0 is standard on the C8 Z06. Look at the tire setup. The C6 Z06 was running the Michelin Pilot Sport 2S's, or PS2s, I'm sorry. And the C8 Z06, specifically the Z07 package, had the Michelin Pilot Cup 2R tires. That was only with the Z07. Those are the ones that look like slicks. They look ball when you get them. I would put I think it's the 4S's that come on the non-Z07 package car. I would put those on for street use and leave the Cup 2Rs for the track. Braking system, the C6 Z06 has steel rotors, 6-piston front calipers. I believe there are 4 in the back. And the C8 Z06 has carbon ceramic, at least with the Z07 package. You don't have to have that. You can get steel rotors if you don't do that one, but comparing the best of the best, that's the Z07 package, has carbon ceramic rotors. So, and I think those are also 6, at least on the 2003 versions. There might be 8 and 6. I'll have to double check me on that. So anyway, those are the numbers, and they are what they are. I think there's room in this world for both of these beasts. Pick your poison. If you like the higher revving Ferrari sound, and I do like that, go with the C8, but I don't think that you need to choose. I mean, the C6 Z06s are, have appreciated in value. I mean, they've come down. Obviously, they're not what they were brand new, but, you can pick up a low mileage C6 Z06 for like $50K. So depending on the year and miles. So I think you can have both. I want both. All right, enough of that. So they're both beautiful, naturally aspirated beasts in their own right. The C8 Z06 is as close to owning a Ferrari as most Americans will ever get, but it ain't cheap. It's about double the cost of the C6 Z06 back when it was new. However, it is a fraction of the cost of the Ferrari, and, that's saying something too. I mean, the LT6 is mighty. It has a 5.5 liter flat plane crank, naturally aspirated, thank God, V8 producing 670 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. That mid-engine design plus that DCT allows that thing to get off the line, but quick in only 2.6 seconds. No human is ever going to shift faster than a dual-clutch transmission. I don't care who you are. And also, I will give it to Chevy on this too. They really bumped up the tech and the interior design over the C6 Z06, minus that stupid wall of buttons and the no oh shit bar, which they did correct in the 2026 model. But, that car, it looks expensive, and it has a cockpit design if you like that kind of thing. Personally, I prefer an open cockpit like the C6 where the passengers can see and play with some things too, But bottom line, if you miss the visceral feel of torque, right? If you miss the analog gauges, if you really miss and love shifting your own gears manually, right? You have the ability to shut off all the stupid nannies and the cheaper cost of mods and the ability to actually tune your Z06, you can't do that right now. If you miss the round tail lights and the limited production Le Mans blue color, which you can't get anymore, well then, my friends, the C6 Z06 wins that contest hands down. I went with the 07 Le Mans Blue Z06 because I found the first model of most of these cars tend to have problems. Most in the C6 community are familiar with the LS7 heads issue. Savagegeese has a great video on that. I'll put a link to it in the description down below. But basically, the GM engineers said that it really only affected the 2006 LS7s. But check out their video for more details. And stay tuned for my next set of videos where I'm going to document some of the mods that I have planned for the new Vet, also known as SID 2.0 going forward, because the first one was SID 1.0. And I'm also going to do a delivery day video, so I'm looking forward to getting that thing here. In the meantime, please take care of your house and remind your doctor to please check that box.